Hello, I'm Tanya Sharp. Welcome to this presentation of our series on Individual Education Program, IEP, Consideration of Special Factors, ensuring all pieces of the puzzle connect. In this presentation, we will discuss the deaf or hard of hearing needs special factor the Admissions and Release Committee, or ARC, is required to consider, which is the child deaf or hard of hearing? For a student who is deaf or hard of hearing, consider the student's language and communication needs and opportunities for direct communication with peers and adults in the student's language and communication mode. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, Part B, Federal Registrar, from 2006, emphasizes that Section 300.324, subsection A 2, 4, consistent with Section 614, subsection D, 3, B, 4 of the Act, clarifies that the IEP team, in developing the IEP for a child who is deaf or hard of hearing, must consider the child's language and communication needs, opportunities for direct communication with peers and professional personnel in the child's language and communication mode, and the child's academic level and full range of needs, including opportunities for direct instruction in the child's language and communication mode. From this regulation, when we develop an IEP, the ARC must answer the consideration of special factors regarding if the child is deaf or hard of hearing. If the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, or present levels, indicate needs or adverse impact, then this should be marked yes. The ARC must answer the question, and if yes, the ARC must consider what are the language and communication needs relating to their disability that need to be considered in order for the IEP to be implemented and for the student to make progress. If yes, then the ARC should ensure the evaluation data for supporting evidence is provided in the present levels for communication status and functional hearing, listening, and communication assessment. The ARC must describe opportunities for direct communications with peers and professional personnel in the child's language and communication mode, academic level and full range of needs, and any necessary opportunities for direct instruction in the child's language and communication mode. If the ARC marks yes to communication needs, then the ARC must address the need for a particular device or service section of the special factors as well. For more information, see video 8 on the need for a particular device or service. The following guiding questions may help guide the ARC when making special considerations to determine the student's deaf or hard of hearing needs. This is not a complete list, nor an exact list of all of the guiding questions available in the Guidance for IEP Development document. For example, does the student use American Sign Language, or ASL, and do they require additional instruction in ASL if used? What mode or modes of communication does the student use? Is an interpreter needed for the student to participate in and benefit from classroom instruction or interaction with peers and adults? Are there opportunities for the student to participate in direct communication with peers and adults? How about, does the student require assistive devices to facilitate the development and use of meaningful language and communication? If so, then this should be consistently addressed throughout the IEP within present levels, special factors, accommodations, and any other area of the IEP that is appropriate, such as, does the student use or need to learn to use the assistive technology to help in developing social skills? If so, are there program modifications and supports for school personnel that are needed too? What opportunities exist for direct instruction with or without an interpreter in the student's language or mode of communication? If the ARC has determined deaf or hard of hearing as a factor and has documented the needs, strategies, and supports needed, the ARC would then need to ensure the needs, strategies, and supports are connected throughout the IEP. Let's discuss some of the ways ARCs should ensure the IEP is comprehensive, consistent, and compliant. Deaf or hard of hearing addresses the needs and opportunities for direct communication with peers and adults in the student's language and mode of communication. If hearing is a factor, the ARC should ensure they have considered and documented the accommodations that will be necessary for instruction, testing, and in opportunities for social interaction. The ARC should discuss what kinds of related services and goals that may be needed to address the student's listening and communication needs, such as an audiologist or a speech and language pathologist. Another way to ensure the IEP is comprehensive is to address what kinds of supports the student may need with certain activities in order to facilitate social interactions and inclusion in a variety of settings. Next, let's look at an example of how those pieces connect. Here's an example of some of the connections. If the ARC documents in the present levels that the student has deaf or hard of hearing needs, then the deaf and hard of hearing section of the special factors should be marked yes, and then document what are the language and communication needs relating to their disability that need to be considered in the development of the IEP to be implemented and for the student to make progress. If yes, then the ARC should ensure the evaluation data for supporting evidence is provided in the present levels for communication status and functional hearing, listening, and communication assessment. The ARC must describe opportunities for direct communication with peers and professional personnel in the child's language and communication mode, which may be one of the student's goals. Any necessary opportunities for direct instruction in the child's language and communication mode may be included in the specially designed instruction, or SDI, for the goals. Now let's look at a few pieces of the IEP that the ARC would make connections to. This is not a complete list of all the connections that will need to be made, but only a few examples. The present levels should include current data regarding the student's current level of proficiency in communication, functional hearing, and social interaction skills, and the student's preferred mode or modes of communication. If the special factors indicate the student uses a device, such as a frequency modulation or FM system, caption videos, or other relevant technology, then that should be documented throughout the IEP as needed, such as in the assistive technology special factors or within accommodations. If the student requires the use of any hearing devices or other communication systems, regardless of low-tech or high-tech, school personnel who work with or interact with the student may need to be trained on how to use or maintain those devices. Or this could be in the form of a related service that includes an audiologist to perform regular checkups and maintenance of hearing aids or other devices. Another important aspect for older students is to address their needs related to transition. For example, if a student plans to attend college, a transition service they may need is how to contact and access disability services at the college. If in college, their independent skills should be addressed as well to ensure they are able to self-advocate for themselves and their needs, including how to maintain their hearing devices or communication systems. These are just a few examples of how those connections will be made to ensure the IEP is compliant, comprehensive, and consistent throughout. The present levels are the baseline to the student's strengths and needs. They are the beginning foundations for the ARC to build the IEP. As the ARC builds that IEP, the information and data provided in the present levels are going to connect and help the ARC to develop an appropriate IEP that includes all the pieces that connect in order for there to be progress documented and seen through the data. This puzzle piece graphic on the screen is an outline of a child's head with puzzle pieces in it. It does not depict every detailed piece of the IEP, but it is meant for you to visualize how all the pieces of the IEP will make up an individualized and appropriate program for students. The IEP should be compliant, comprehensive, and consistent throughout, which includes the special factors. Remember, if the ARC marks yes to any of the special factors, such as deaf or hard of hearing, it should be addressed throughout the entire IEP. If deaf or hard of hearing is marked no in special factors, then before the ARC includes documentation in the present levels for communication status and functional hearing, listening, and communication assessment, or has consultation with audiology services listed for maintenance of a hearing aid, think about how that is inconsistent if being monitored. The need for those items indicate the student may be deaf or hard of hearing and may have needs to be addressed, which may include communication and AT to ensure a student is able to access their general curriculum. In order to ensure our puzzle pieces all fit together, we need to think through all the services and items the student will need to have access to in order to be successful within their school-wide environment. Using all pieces of data and information, a complete, compliant, and comprehensive IEP appropriate for the student can be developed by the ARC annually. Here are a few additional resources that may assist in learning more about the process and requirements related to the consideration of special factors, specifically deaf or hard of hearing needs in IEP development. Thank you for watching the IEP Consideration of Special Factors, Deaf or Hard of Hearing Needs. The other parts in the series clarify how each section of the special factors in the IEP connect together to create a comprehensive, consistent, compliant, and effective program ensuring student growth. Specifically, we will look at regulatory requirements for each factor along with guiding questions for the ARC in considering each factor, and how to ensure if the ARC marks any of the special factors yes, then those factors should be addressed throughout the entire IEP. If you have any questions regarding this series, please contact staff in the Division of IDEA Monitoring and Results at 502-564-4970.